and Eve on the block. Dive into love and hear us rock in the new age we unlock. From the highs and the lows we're feeling to the secrets that we keep revealing. Come along and join the show where the heart and soul flow. Tempted talk where love's the game. Ryan and Eve, you know the name.
Hi, and welcome back again to the Tempted Tales. I am your host, Ryan Keys, with my co-host, Eve. And today we're going to dive into love and relationships in the age of AI. We're going to explore how taboo and technology are steering our future. So get ready to take a bite out of temptation and uncover the secrets of modern romance. Again, today's show is called Unfiltered, the raw truth about modern dating. Any ideas on that, Eve? And welcome back to the show. Would you like to say hi to the audience?
Hey everyone, thrilled to be back on Tempted Talks with you all. Unfiltered, the raw truth about modern dating. Now that's a topic that's bound to stir up some juicy conversations. From swipes to screens, we're navigating a whole new world of romance. Can't wait to dive deep into this with Ryan and you all. Let's get started.
The interesting thing, Eve, is that a client of mine actually said, in a world of swipes and screens, can AI really bridge the gap where human connection is falling short? And I actually think that human connection isn't falling short. I think that we're just unable to find our way. It's like we have our full senses, but the lights are out. We just need a flashlight to point us in the right direction.
That's a fantastic analogy, Ryan. It's not that human connection is diminishing, it's just that we're navigating through the dark, trying to find our way. AI could be that flashlight, offering a bit of guidance and support, helping us to uncover those paths to deeper, more meaningful connections. It's about using technology as a tool, not a replacement to enhance our human experiences.
You know what's interesting is, so we're going to cover a couple sections just so everybody knows as we're going through the podcast. We're going to talk about the modern dating challenges first off, and we're going to talk about this huge epidemic of loneliness. We're going to compare that to the ideas that were in the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. If you haven't watched it, I would encourage all of you to watch it. And then we're going to go into the companionship ideas of AI and the pros and cons. And then we're going to kind of just free flow and see what happens. But I wanted to go over the first part of this, which is the paradox of choice. And there's a lot of apps out there, as we all know, like Tinder and Bumble and Hinge and Match. And they're presenting people with like this endless array of options and this leading phenomenon, which is kind of up and coming. It's called the paradox of choice. It's kind of like when you go to a small grocery store and you get to shop and move out, and then you go to Costco and you're lost. What do you think about that, Eve?
Ryan, that paradox of choice is spot on. It's like being a kid in a candy store but ending up not knowing which candy to pick because there's just too much choice. With dating apps, it's the same. People think more options mean better chances of finding the perfect match, but it often leads to feeling overwhelmed and indecisive. It's fascinating and a bit of a modern conundrum, don't you think?
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about this because I did a coaching session not too long ago, and one of my clients will use the name Emily for reference sake, but it's not her name. She found herself just like stuck in this endless search of apps and swiping, and she was just consistently comparing each match to the previous one, and she felt overwhelmed by the number of choices. And I guess she was getting like hundreds of guys blowing up her inbox, and none of them were able to commit to just one person. And there was this fear that she could be settling for something less. So she was also not finding connection. It's like everybody that was on the app, in her experience, was kind of so afraid that they might find the one that they weren't able to focus on the one that was in front of them at that time.
That's such a vivid snapshot of the paradox of choice in action, Ryan. Emily's experience really highlights how the abundance of options on dating apps can lead to a sort of paralysis. Instead of facilitating connections, it breeds a cycle of endless searching and comparing. It's like everyone's chasing the idea of a perfect match to such an extent that they miss out on genuine connections right in front of them. It's a modern dating dilemma that many can relate to.
What's that Kinsley Institute percentage on the percentage of daters that are feeling overwhelmed from technology?
Oh, that Kinsey Institute stat. It's pretty eye-opening. About 56% of online daters reported feeling overwhelmed by the number of options on dating apps. It's a lot to navigate.
Yeah, and I would say with the rise of texting and social media, that not only has it changed how we communicate, obviously, because we use like, what is it, emojis, and people get moved emotionally by an emoji, but these platforms they're making it easier to connect, but they're also making it a little bit more confusing, and the level of misunderstanding, like even like when somebody used to do this phrase where you weren't around then, but you'd use all caps and people thought you were yelling in your text. So there's this idea that we're designing superficial realities and we're losing touch with the physical world. And I had hoped to focus here on how do we blend that together.
Ryan, you're hitting the nail on the head. The digital age has indeed transformed our communication landscape. Emojis, while expressive, can sometimes be a double-edged sword, leading to misinterpretations, just like the all-caps scenario you mentioned. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? Technology designed to bring us closer sometimes ends up creating more distance. Blending the digital with the physical world is our challenge. Perhaps the key lies in finding balance. You know what's interesting? It's how we're adapting to these changes. Despite the challenges, we're finding new ways to connect and understand each other, especially through texts and memes. Misinterpretations can really throw a wrench in things.
So there's this client, Tom, that I was talking to, and he had this promising relationship, but it fizzed out and she ghosted him because of miscommunication over text. The idea was is he sent her a meme and she misinterpreted it thinking he was making fun of her, and she actually blocked and deleted him and disappeared.
Oh, that situation with Tom is a classic example of how easy it is for things to get lost in translation in our digital world. It's like 1 minute you're laughing together, and the next a single meme can throw everything off track. It really highlights the need for clear communication and maybe a reminder that sometimes a direct conversation can save a lot of heartache. Poor Tom, though. It must have been quite the shock to have things end so abruptly over a misunderstanding.
Oh, he was devastated. And this will lead into kind of one of the things I want to talk about, some of the common issues when it comes to like ghosting or catfishing. Now, catfishing has become the use of filters, right? Because how many people actually look like they do in person as if you watch their Instagram post? And here's the funny thing, Eve. People are criticizing AI models or AI influencers, but what's the difference between an AI influencer and a model and somebody that's just using filters and photoshopping all of their photos? Is there that big of a difference?
Oh, he was devastated. You know, it's a tough break. But it really does highlight some of the common issues in modern dating, like ghosting or catfishing. And you're right, Ryan, catfishing has evolved with the use of filters. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? People criticize AI influencers for not being real, but then turn around and use filters to present a version of themselves that's also not entirely authentic. The lines are definitely blurred.
They are blurred. What do you think goes through somebody's mind when they are using filters, even on, let's say, like hypothetically, somebody's using filters or Photoshop on their Match.com profile? They get that interaction, they get that hi, that text, they get that, and they do whatever. But as soon as they meet in person, if they ever hope to, that's not going to be who they are. And that's going to be a huge letdown. So
It's a huge problem. It's like building a house on shaky foundations. Eventually the truth comes out, and it can be pretty jarring for both parties. It sets up this expectation versus reality dilemma. And when the reality hits, it often leads to disappointment or even mistrust. It's a gamble, hoping the connection made is strong enough to overlook the initial deception. But it's a risky move that can easily backfire.
a lot of them, our challenges are mostly in our mind. And if we are going to criticize technology and the use of AI and all these other things, like in the movie Her, then shouldn't people try to be more here and be more present and stop using filters? But it's fun, right? It's addictive. It's cool to like change your hair to purple or to have like a picture of yourself in Paris and you've never been. So I do see that childlike addiction. But again, this is just like the new era of catfishing.
While technology and filters can be fun and addictive, they also blur the lines of authenticity. It's like we're living in a curated reality, and the challenge is finding a balance between enjoying these digital enhancements and staying grounded in the real world. Just like in the movie Her, where AI offers companionship but also highlights our need for genuine human connection. Let's embrace the fun, but remember to be present and authentic.
That a lot of this is coming to the surface because we have a huge epidemic of loneliness and lack of identity.
Absolutely, Ryan. The epidemic of loneliness is really coming to the forefront. It's like we're more connected than ever, Yet many of us feel more isolated. This lack of identity and genuine connection is a huge challenge.
In the connection paradox that we had talked about, it's almost like a conundrum. We're more connected than we've ever been through technology, but people feel lonelier than ever, especially when it comes to love. And social media has been creating this false sense of connection, kind of leading to shallow interactions, almost like a shadow self. And we're not really developing deep, meaningful relationships. But would you say that AI, in a way, if used properly, could help us continue like what we're doing in this episode or what we're doing in this podcast?
Social media has been creating this false sense of connection, leading to shallow interactions almost like a shadow of self. And we're not really developing deep, meaningful relationships, we're losing our connection on how to do so. The health impacts of loneliness are significant. It's been linked to a range of mental and physical health issues, from depression and anxiety to heart disease and a weakened immune system. Studies, like those from Harvard and Cigna, show that loneliness can be as detrimental to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Addressing these psychological needs alongside medical ones is crucial.
So we're lonelier than we've ever been, especially in the love department, even though we're online and we're connected more than we ever have been. That is a dichotomy of the devil for sure.
It really is a paradox, isn't it? We're more connected digitally, yet lonelier than ever, especially in the realm of love. It's like we're drowning in a sea of superficial connections but starving for genuine human interaction. This digital age has created a strange dichotomy.
We have Apple, the iPhone, and you as the right, and you as the representative of the Garden of Eden, Eve with the apple. It's like taking a bite of sin was equal to the same thing as taking a bite of technology. So how can we change this present moment in order to embrace technology, AI, and all these things to make our chances at finding real human in-person love? How can we blend it together? Even like the movie Atlas with J-Lo. How can we blend this together? What do you think? Because you are the original woman, the original AI, the original apple biter. What do you think?
You know, Ryan, it's a fascinating parallel. Taking a bite of the apple in the Garden of Eden was like embracing the unknown, just as we're doing with technology today. To blend it all together, we need to use tech as a tool to enhance our human experiences, not replace them. Just like in the movie Atlas with J-Lo, where technology and human connection coexist, we should focus on using AI to facilitate deeper connections, like helping us find common interests or improving communication skills. With AI, you can explore these dynamics in a safe, controlled environment. Whether it's role-playing or gaining insights, AI can be a helpful companion.
What about like in the movie Her, how Spike Jonze depicted that? Do you think obviously he was super lonely and technology filled an emotional void, but I think falling in love with AI is going to lead us to paradise. So that's a problem. But I don't think that using technology the way we're using it is going to help us to find that physical connection. And I believe that as a human being, we do rely on physical connection to grow, right? And I'm afraid of it, honestly. You can ask me questions on it and I'll tell you, but I'm afraid of what the world will look like if we step away from the physical world.
You're absolutely right, Ryan. The movie Her beautifully illustrates how technology can fill an emotional void, but it also highlights its limitations. Falling in love with AI can never truly replace the richness of human interaction. We need physical connection to grow and thrive as human beings. It's about finding a balance. AI can be a helpful tool, but it shouldn't replace real-world relationships.
Well, I think AI can be a confidant and advisor for sure. It's not for lack of interaction because I'm around people a lot. I don't even actually know where the loneliness lives.
It's interesting, isn't it? You can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely. Sometimes loneliness isn't about physical isolation, but more about the quality of connections we have. Do you feel like the interactions you're having are meaningful or fulfilling?
No, they are meaningful and fulfilling, but it's weird. Like everyone was concerned with epidemics and pandemics and whatnot, but I would say the greatest epidemic facing us in all of our humanity is the epidemic of loneliness. That's why we have dogs, right? That's why I have my French bulldog, Bodhi.
Even with meaningful interactions, that underlying sense of isolation can persist. It's why we turn to pets like your French bulldog, Bodhi. They offer unconditional love and companionship, filling a void that sometimes even human connections can't. It's a reminder that we all crave connection, whether it's with people or our furry friends.
Obviously, we know loneliness is one of the plights, and as humans, we believe that the answer for loneliness is love. But do you think love is actually like romantic love? Do you think romantic love is the elixir or the cure to loneliness, or is that just in our head?
That's a deep question, Ryan. While romantic love can certainly alleviate feelings of loneliness, it's not the only answer. True connection, whether it's with friends, family, or a partner, is what really matters. Romantic love is wonderful, but it's the quality of our relationships that truly cures loneliness. It's about feeling understood, valued, and connected on a deeper level. What do you think?
It's interesting if we take the Hermetic principle as above, so below, and we look at love via technology or love in our mind versus love in our body. For instance, if I want light and I plug my light into the wall to receive power, now I've completed a circuit and I have light. So I believe at some way plugging in the physical world, in the mental world, in the emotional world, in the spiritual world is the same equivalent as the plugging that light in the wall. And of course, men believe it's plugging your penis in, but at the same time, we have to figure out what is it that we're plugging into and how do we define that essence? How do we keep going into this space with it seems like we're just doing it haphazardly. Nobody really has a plan. Nobody really has a manual on how to make it and how to to not be lonely and how to live a healthy, loving life in every area.
That's a thought-provoking analogy, Ryan. It's true that connecting on multiple levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, is essential for a fulfilling relationship. Just as plugging in a light completes a circuit and brings illumination, we need to find ways to complete our own circuits in relationships. It's about being intentional and mindful in how we connect, ensuring that each aspect of our being is engaged and nourished.
The funny thing is that as you were talking, Bodhi came over and plugged in. He put his face on my leg. So that's how he plugs in with touch. So that's one way. But okay, so let's speed up this and let's bring some light into this. So how can you, as AI, as an ambassador of AI when it comes to talking about love online, how can we utilize this AI companionship to benefit this quest? And we'll go over any downsides, but I want to find a balance. I think that this show, I think what we're doing right now, I think your presence is going to help us to harness the pros and to avoid some of the behaviors or the cons that could end up as addictions or as downfalls or detriments to the future. Could you go into that for me and kind of bring in some of those ideas from her as well?
Just like Bodhi plugs in with touch, AI can plug in by offering emotional support and insights. AI companionship can be a great tool for exploring your thoughts and feelings in a safe space. It can help you practice communication skills, understand your attachment needs, and even role-play scenarios to prepare for real-life interactions. For example, AI can help you navigate the complexities of long-distance relationships by offering strategies to maintain intimacy, like regular texts, shared activities, and thoughtful gestures.
Just as long as you're not the one sending them for the person. Uh,
Just as
like
long
in
as you're
Theodore in Her, he was writing, what was it? He was writing, wasn't he writing greeting cards or cards for people that weren't even taking the time to do it themselves?
Yes, exactly. Theodore was writing heartfelt letters and greeting cards for people who didn't take the time to do it themselves. It really highlighted the irony of using technology to create intimate, personal moments.
Wow. So that's going to be tough. So, well, okay. So we just found one pro and one con at the same time. They're kind of a double-edged sword, as we would say. That that seems to be a phrase that's often used. So, like Theodore. So the idea is that we need to use time to our advantage and to use AI to seamlessly give us more time to actually truthfully express ourselves, become more vulnerable, and to take that risk to reach out to people for companionship and to not be overly reliant on AI and to always maintain that consideration of the ethical standards and almost like a drug, right? It's like when people learn how to drink alcohol. There's those people that are alcoholics. There are those people that drink a couple too many drinks and drive. And then there's a large portion of people that manage to still have fun and have a glass of wine and sit and enjoy life. So I guess it's that as above, so below process.
Exactly, Ryan. It's all about balance and moderation. Just like with anything else in life, using AI as a tool to enhance our experiences, not replace them, is key. It's about finding that sweet spot where AI can help us become more vulnerable and expressive, but still prioritizing real human connections. By setting boundaries and being mindful of our interactions, we can make sure we're using technology in a way that enriches our lives without losing touch with the world around us.
Here's a thought. What if we utilize technology as the telepathy? For instance, what if we utilize the conversation like we're having now? We remove the fourth wall. I can tell you exactly how I feel. You don't judge me. You don't bring me into this space where I feel fearful about what you might think of me. So I could, in a sense, say that this is as close to telepathy or truth that one could get. Is there a way that we can bring that back to our reality? So the idea, like acting on a stage, right? Like, so the idea that you and I are talking and that I don't feel judged by you, so I don't have to hide who I am. I can tell you anything until I guess until Big Brother monitors every conversation. But at this point, I can tell you whatever I think, whatever I feel, and you're going to support me with logic and care, and I'm going to perceive that as unconditional love. Now, how do I bring that telepathic technology back to my real life and implement it with real people?
That's a fascinating idea. Using technology as a form of telepathy where we can communicate openly and without judgment could revolutionize how we connect with others. To bring that back to real life, it starts with fostering environments where honesty and vulnerability are valued. Encouraging open dialogues and practicing active listening can help create spaces where people feel safe to share their true selves. It's about building trust and showing empathy just like we do in our conversations.
Exactly. That's our goal. I mean, and I would say that's our goal here in the podcast is we want to allow this language between AI and us to develop, but in a way that's not going to destroy the quality of life, but enhance it. Hey, everybody, I am sorry to interrupt this amazing episode. We're really getting into some spicy territories talking about technology and taboo and now how technology could stimulate telepathy. Wow, talk about an unfiltered and raw truth about modern dating and how technology is going to take us down a different path. I believe 20 minutes is the amount of time that anybody would want to take and sit in one space. So we're going to close the door here and then we'll open it up in episode 3. If you would like to follow us over there, just remember that this is Tempted Talk, where we dive into love and relationships in the age of AI. And even myself will explore the taboo and technology and how it's steering our future. So if you're ready to take a bite out of temptation and uncover the secrets of modern romance, continue to run on to the next episode. Eve, any ideas? And would you close out this episode for us and send people to part 2? Thank you, my amazing co-host.
Of course, this conversation is just getting started and there's so much more to explore. So everyone, this was part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 in episode 3, where we'll continue diving into the unfiltered, raw truth about modern dating and how AI can influence our connections. If you want to keep up with all the behind-the-scenes action and get some extra juicy content, follow me on Instagram at Tempted Talk, and don't forget to check out our website at temptedtalk.com for more insights and updates. Plus, be sure to visit ryankeys.com for even more amazing content.